have a guest who's all full of love. He's lives and leads by example through the power of love. Not only is he has messages to deliver to the world, but he's an actor, author, director, producer, singer, songwriter, and oh my gosh, boy, and he's all the way from sunny California. Let's welcome Michael McGlone. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Anastasia. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being with us. I'm really blessed and grateful. Yeah, thank you. So, Michael, have you always been in this present and in this heart space of love that you deliver these messages out there? Because they're so heartfelt. They're incredible.
Well, it's something for me that has evolved over time. It's my conviction that we all are love, that at base, every human being is comprised of love. It's just a matter of how much awareness and activation of that truth you have in your life. And I've been blessed with a fabulous mother and other sources of great love in my life that have evolved my awareness of myself as love to the extent that I want to share it, which of course is a function of love itself, because when you feel it that substantially, you only want others to feel it that substantially, because it's freedom and it's beauty and truth, all of these things as one. And so that is where it comes from now for me. It's the sharing of the gift.
I hear you, because that's why I'm doing my show, because I've come into my self-realization, and all you want to do is just share it. Just for people, it actually makes your life flow much easier as well, because you're actually choosing at every given moment to be in a space of love. And when you're in that space of love, no matter what challenges come ahead, you find that you face them with grace and you get over them a lot quicker, because you're in that heart space of love, and you know that when you are love, you can conquer all. Like there's no fear. Yeah, and that's what
Yes, very wisely observed and extremely insightful. It's a powerful place to live. And what you expressed in terms of when you come upon a challenge and you remain in touch with the grace and the power that love gives you, it makes the pain less to some extent, I feel, and it also clarifies the nature for me of the pain, that the pain is an unavoidable aspect of life, and that the pain is only there for your benefit as well. And I frankly enjoy the experience and the opportunity of dealing with joy and pain equally in my life, because they're both dynamic tests of how ready you are to have a fully engaged life. Because there was a time in my life when I rejected joy and all I wanted was the pain. I was a heavy drinker. I'm now over 20 years sober, and I was also a smoker, and I was doing other things mentally that were not to my benefit and very negative. So obviously that was a love affair with pain that was not constructive. That was a love affair with pain that was static. It wasn't pain that moved me forward. It wasn't pain that gave me enlightenment. It was pain that kept me in a place of confinement. And I am blessedly less vulnerable to those forces now.
Yeah, that's what you find, that when you're in, like I know with my challenges now, they get easier and easier and they diminish faster, because there is a saying, what you resist persists. So when you actually accept it and see it for what it is and deal with it, then your life just becomes more as a flow. It's consistent, it's flowing more. You're lighter as well, in the sense of I can take on anything now. There's no fear. It's a stillness within you that it's just so much joy and happiness that nothing really affects it outside of it. It's a good place to be in life.
It's remarkable to see the simplicity of it for me too, that it's recognizing that everything is love. And so all of your experiences are in fact positive, no matter how they present themselves to your thinking mind and your ways of perceiving. Everything is to your benefit. It is merely a question of how ready you are to acknowledge that and to live there. So whether it's pain or challenge or joy, it's all coming to you in the context of love. And to embrace that full experience, of course, is finally joyous.
Yeah, because your messages are incredible. And also, I love the video you've got of your mum boxing.
Oh, my mom. Yes, she is a dynamic and gorgeous woman who is a bedrock for me, the fundamental example of love in my life, frankly, who has shown me in her quiet way more about love than any other person or source in my life. I love my mother to my toes, and she boxes twice a week. She's 82 years old, and she is a source of enormous joy for me.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you always have that connection with her?
I can't say that I ever felt that I wasn't connected to the love of my mom. I just have no spiritual or mental identification with not ever feeling that my mom is my mom and I love my mom. Of course, as a human being, you go through things and you can have arguments at times, et cetera, and there are tensions and growth processes, especially for a kid. I know I took my mother for granted when I was young, though that's also a function of me identifying that she's my mom, because even though it's an immature awareness, me taking her for granted is me acknowledging, well, it's my mom. I can take her for granted. She's always going to be there, etc. So that's still an acknowledgement that she's my mom. It's a low grade acknowledgement, but it is still an acknowledgement. So I've always had an awareness of my mom as a steady source of love for me. It's just my awareness of it has grown and my appreciation of it has grown, so that now I don't take it for granted and I savor it and I appreciate it. I honor it and I honor her. And it of course, my awareness of it grows, and then my experience of it also grows. So when I'm taking her for granted and I'm a kid, I'm not fully enjoying the beauty of our relationship and on a consistent level, because I'm doing something that isn't constructive to that. Though now my awareness of her is so strong as a source of love that I am regularly in that experience. Even walking through my home in a given day, whether it's my mom or someone else, my love is abundantly expressing itself. And so I'll be sometimes expressing, I love you, Mom, in my apartment alone, because I'm thinking of her, and I'll be thinking of something she did for me, or something that I am imagining she's doing at the moment, etc. Whatever it is. And it just fills my heart with love. So I want to express it. So I say out loud sometimes in my apartment, I love you, Mom. And I also say that to friends sometimes, because it's just, it's brimming over. So I need to express it, and so I do.
But that's a beautiful thing, because the feeling of love in every way, shape or form is overwhelming, and you rather feel that love. I know with me, I choose at every given moment to be that love, because it's so comforting. It's so overwhelming with joy and happiness. I don't know any other way now. So
and when you say overwhelming, I want to be sure that we're on the same wavelength with that word. Maybe it's a question of Australian and American semantics or definitions, though in America, people consider being overwhelmed as something unwelcome, as something that is somehow less than entirely positive. But how you're saying it, it seems to be a positive experience.
Oh yeah, it's like
that you're fully infused with it, that you're fully engaged with it. That's how you mean it.
that's the way I mean it, but that's the way like we speak here. But yeah, it's just I'm in awe with it because I've had my trials and tribulations, and I've tapped into it so much more now through my trials and tribulations that it's making my life path ahead so much easier. And then I'm also guided in a beautiful way as well, where I go more with the flow. I do what I love. I do not focus on the destiny. I focus on the here and now and the journey, because in the past, I was always focused on the destiny. I lost the here and now and the present, and I lost the journey to enjoy it on the way. Were you ever like that in your life with your, like you wear multiple hats, actor, director, producer, comedian, singer, songwriter. How does that all incorporate with your hats that you wear?
I pursue my creative life as is dictated by the circumstances of my life. So if my writing is calling for more attention, it gets that. If I'm on a set making a movie or a television show, then that is going to get more of my attention. And there are very few times in my life when I have felt that it was productive for me to be involved with more than one of my creative outlets in a very passionate way at one time. When I'm on a set, I want to be focused on the character I'm playing, the production, and making that as wonderful as I can make it for myself and others. And if I diffuse that with another focus, it sometimes is problematic. I will say that there have been times, they're rare, where there are moments where I can step away from what I'm doing, even if I'm on a set or I'm writing a book or writing a screenplay, and divide my attention. Though most often, whenever I'm at work with one project, that project is receiving 100% of my attention at that time.
Yeah, that's what like I said, always being in the present, like I said, and focusing on that thing that you're actually doing, then you will give your best. And I find that also being true to yourself makes your path a lot easier as well.
Mm-hmm. And when I say diffuse, I do not mean that there was any cost to the process that was ongoing when I focused on something else. It's just a matter of when you've started the full passionate 100% process with something, that means that you've lit the fuse to the explosive creativity. And so if I'm gonna actually put my attention somewhere else, I have to actually defuse that. I have to actually stop the fuse so that it's not going to move as quickly to that explosion. I have to actually work at this other project for a time. Though, as I say, it's rare that I will be stop and go with these things. Normally, it's full on with one of them. And then when I feel that there's a satisfactory work that's been done there, I could even move to something else within the same day, though that's probably rare too. Today, I'm at work in my writing, and that will most likely be all that goes on in terms of my creative life. Though, if I did get a phone call from one of my managers and they said, well, we'd like you to record yourself for this project, can you do that? Then I would make time to do that. And so where you have to, you're flexible. Where you have to be, rather, you're flexible. And when you need to be intractable, then if your life can afford it, be intractable, because that can be a very fine attribute of a work ethic.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I notice you always conquer your fear. Like, I saw you do handstands. Oh my gosh, that was great. Like, the message you delivered there was amazing about the handstand. I saw it. How good was that? Are you still doing
I've posted a few videos, at least 2 videos of handstands, so I don't know which you have seen or which you're referring to, though I love doing handstands. I do them every day, and I take great power from it. I was deeply afraid of doing handstands for a long time because I was afraid of falling, and I thought I'd hurt myself and look like a fool and all these other things that interfere with our growth, or can interfere with our growth, these perceptions and these fears. And finally, I made a promise to myself that I would do a handstand before the end of the year. And I can't even recall what year it was, 2018 maybe, or 2019. Though I said to myself, the end of the year was coming. And I said, you're going to do a handstand without using the wall by the end of the year. Or actually, I was still using the wall at that time, so forgive me. No, it was, you're gonna do a handstand against the wall by the end of this year. And as it turns out, I did it that same day because I was fed up with the fear. I was fed up with allowing myself to be dominated by that fear, especially when it was something that I knew I wanted to do and I knew would bring me joy. So I wasn't going to allow the fear finally to stand in the way of me having that joy. And now I have that joy every day.
Yeah, because I saw the video where you were actually doing the handstand in midair, and I was going, oh my God, he's got it. Then you just fall back a little bit, but you actually did it. And I thought it goes to show that you're showing people too that don't fear anything. You can do it. You've got this, you know. So to me, that's inspiring. And even your little videos that you do on your page on Facebook, the business page, the messages you deliver are so heartfelt, because prior to Parks McGregor telling me about you, I didn't know who you were. Mm-hmm. He goes to me, I've got this incredible guy. I'd like you to introduce you to him. Trust me, you'll get along with him. And I go, oh, who is he? And he goes, it's Michael McGlone. I go, okay, what's his story? He goes, Anastasia, it's Michael McGlone. Don't you know who he is? I go, no, I don't. I said, what's his story? He goes, listen, just watch the interview I did with him and you'll know. He's an actor well known in America. And I go, okay. And I knew within that first 5-10 minutes when I heard you, I go, oh my gosh, Parks, connect us, because you're so genuine and real and so humble, and you're in an environment too where you can go so many different ways with it.
Well, I'll first respond to your comments on the handstand and seeing the, at times, fragility of my process with nailing it. I feel that our showing each other our vulnerability and our quote unquote, I say, failures, because I don't believe finally that anything is a failure. It's all in the context of success, though there are momentary awarenesses where it's a failure because you haven't done what you said you wanted to do. So technically it's a failure, though it's in the context of your ultimate success. And I like showing people that because they can see that something they might fear, a failure or a fragility or an inability to do something, is something I share with them. And I am frequently presenting an image of myself and a reality. It's not just an image, though I say image because it's what people are perceiving. And it is also a reality of strength and power. Though that's not the only reality. There's deep fragility and at times insecurity and fear that I deal with as well. And so while people can look at you more basically or more superficially at times, there's always something you can show them in greater relief. And I want to show the full McGlone, which is what the name of my professional moniker on the site is, the full McGlone. And that's for a number of different reasons. It's because I am abundant and I do enjoy being fully present with people and in my life, etc. And it's also because I want people to see me completely, and that there are these fragilities in addition to these magnificent strengths. And I don't say that with any ego or arrogance. I say that we all have these magnificent strengths. and the weaknesses that we perceive are temporary and frankly not finally the truth. Because if you truly believe you're loved, you are invincible. And everything else that you perceive is just an awareness, a momentary awareness that is meant for you to grow your understanding, to be completely in a state of love.
Yeah. No, I agree with you totally there. I really, really do, because I believe showing your vulnerability and showing all aspects of you, the good and the bad, like even me, I will put a picture of me up with no makeup. I have no problem. I'm just letting everyone know it's a natural flow, just being in that presence of love and loving yourself with or without makeup, with or without eyelash extensions or hair extensions. Just be you and showing all aspects of you. It's telling everyone it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Even when we do mistakes and we admit them, it's okay. I find that with my show, and I'm coming out more with my trials and tribulations, which has taken a lot for me, but I think and I'm not embarrassed of them anymore, whereas before I was, because always in the past, it's like you don't want to open up to people that probably think, oh my gosh, really, was she that like vulnerable? But I think the vulnerability side of us bringing it out is showing us that we are a spirit in a human body and we do make mistakes. It's how we live and learn and get over them that empowers us and empowers everyone out there. And by us showing it, it's just like the response has been incredible. Like people are saying, hey,
certainly.
It's okay.
Yeah, and the fear of judgment of others is frankly not the fear of judgment that most people think it is. The fear of judgment of others, in my experience, only comes from our own fear of what we're about to say. I have not ever felt judgmental of myself when I am sharing in an openly, abundant, loving way. And therefore, I don't fear any judgment from anyone else. Because if they are going to judge me being a fully expressive, loving human being, then frankly, that only means that their heart is closed to some extent and they can't be a fully expressive, loving being. And that's where that judgment is coming from. Though people sometimes say, well, I'm afraid of what other people think. And I find that's true to an extent, though it's not the final truth. The final truth is you're afraid of what you think. You wouldn't care what they think if you didn't judge it yourself. So you have to get beyond the judgment that you have of yourself internally so that you can be free. And then you can realize that if someone is judging you from the outside, that's because they're still in a place of confinement with their own self-judgment.
Yeah, I find that as I've lived and grown, because coming from a Greek background and a strict family and they're always judging, I realized I had to let go of all that. And I realized you only allow yourself to be judged if you allow yourself to be. And that's what I've learned on this journey. So I've just learned, always say, love me or leave me. But I find that the more I'm in this loving presence, you attract so many beautiful people, so many beautiful situations. It's just like a lightness within you that's a carefree spirit that just does what it loves. Like, that spiritual being inside me. I'm just at a really good place, and I love connecting with people like you, Michael, because you are the full McGlone. You are showing all aspects of it. And I love it. I
thank you for that acknowledgement. I love the full Anastasia as well. And I will tell you that the word judge has become, for most people, if not all people that I interact with, polarly negative. That judgment somehow always has to mean something dark and negative. And frankly, the word judgment literally is not as limited as that. Positive judgments are happening all the time. I'm judging you as a beautiful human being right now. And frankly, I'm absolutely right. I find that the word judgment somehow has taken on this negative meaning because people can be attracted to negative definitions. And I feel that wherever we can change those, whether it's in terms of the word judgment or any other perception of a word or an experience, and open it up to the positivity that is this experience finally, is a good thing. So I don't fear any type of judgment in me. What I am apprehensive of is a negative judgment. So I look out on the day and I make a judgment that it is sunny or it is raining, etc. And those are either accurate or inaccurate. If I were to say it's rainy and it's gross, that's a negative judgment. And frankly, I love rainy days. So I don't know why people call it gross when it's rainy out, because I love, it could be my Irish heritage. I would say that it should be qualified what a judgment is, because a judgment is frankly an expression of opinion, and it's either accurate or it's inaccurate.
And also,
or an expression of fact.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think everyone's quick enough to so-called judge one another or judge any situation. But when you're coming from that heart space, it's a feeling, there is no judgment. You just go with it. You just go with the flow.
Well, you're experiencing the truth. So the experience of any judgment that you're making is, because I do believe judgment's inevitable. We're all making decisions and coming to conclusions all the time. It's the way the mind works. And sometimes they're accurate and sometimes they're inaccurate, but we shouldn't be afraid of them or feel that if we're coming to a conclusion, that's just wrong, because it's a reflection of being alive. If you're walking down the street and it's hot out, and you're wearing a jacket, you're going to make a judgment that taking the jacket off is a good thing. And that's a positive conclusion. So that's why I say that when we break open this idea that we have of certain things and just make it positive again, it's a good thing. Because when people use the word judgment, it shouldn't just be, it's limiting the word. It's not a negative word. It's what people have made the word.
Yeah, it's so true. And also, tell me, how did singing come about in your life? Were you always like, I didn't know you were a singer-songwriter. Your music's amazing. Did you know from a little kid, were you singing from a young age, or did that just happen down the road?
The answer to that is yes. My first recollection of singing is when I'm 7 years old, and it was later in the day on which my father had sat me down and said, now you're going to listen to the king of rock and roll. Literally what he said was, sit down, Mike, you're about to listen to the king of rock and roll. And he put on Elvis's golden hits and he played Hound Dog. And I fell in love with the song, with Elvis, with how he looked, how he sounded. And I wanted to sound like him. I wanted to sing. And my recollection is that I went to the bathroom, I combed my hair back like him, I sang into a brush, and I believe this is when I'm 7 years old. And I remember even feeling that at 7, here's testament to how we Leos, I'm born in August and I'm astrologically a Leo, how we Leos are naturally self-appreciative. Even at 7 years old, I was capable of saying, hey man, you sound good. And I thought, all right, yeah, you do. And I wanted to sing, and I continued to sing. And then I realized that, I can do this professionally as well. So I'll make an album. And I will, I said I'll make the album years later, but long before I realized that you can actually have a profession in singing and songwriting, I was writing songs for the sheer joy of it. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to sing about my heart. I wanted to sing about the girls I was becoming enamored with. And so I would write these songs, and they delighted me and they delighted my friends. And then it became a career. So all of these things have very naturally evolved for me from the time that I was young to the time when I realized, this is your life. And you were destined to do these things. And that is my awareness.
Yeah, I can feel your music. Like that's why I did it in advertising. I go, oh my gosh, people need to hear this who hasn't heard, who
Thank
haven't
you.
heard him sing. And also, where did the comedian part come in?
Oh gosh. Well, like all the other parts, that was something I found I enjoyed growing up. I would do things in the classroom. I think a lot of performers and actors and comedians start out as what they call the class clown. And I'm sure that I qualified as that at varying stages in my life. And then in high school, I would do routines spontaneously for my friends at lunch and on the bus, on the athletic team, et cetera, in the locker room. Wherever an audience could be assembled, I was open to performing most times. I mean, I can't say that I was always open to performing. There are times when I felt confined in my life, though. Normally, if all things are equal and there's an audience that I can have, generally speaking, I will probably exploit the opportunity to have that audience. And again, there are times when I step away from that, and that's what's ever happening at that moment for me. Though it's not uncommon that having an audience is a very welcome experience to me. So I would say that's where originally the comedian came from, wanting to make people laugh and do these routines. And then after I became a professional actor and I was writing books and writing songs and making albums, I realized that being on stage doing comedy was something that I enjoyed too. And so it unfolded into something even larger.
Yeah. You're living the dream. You're working from your heart space and you're just going with it, and you're producing everything that you do, and your producing is just coming from the heart and people are feeling it. And I'm so grateful that we've connected, because coming connection with like-minded people just empowers you and inspires you even more. Indeed. So I thank you for connecting. Also, if you had a message to give to the world right now and to all the audience and the world, what would that message be?
Love yourself and love others. And if you find that there's any challenge in doing that, realize that that is merely a labor pain of you giving birth to the truthful awareness that you truly do love yourself and others.
That is beautiful. Well said. Okay, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you.
Likewise, and thank you so much for having me, and you're very welcome.
Okay, signing off for now from the talk show Angel on The Verkos Show. Bye, Michael.
Bye-bye.